Here is exactly how the Enrolled Agent exam works and how to pass it in about 5 minutes. This is the credential that lets you represent any taxpayer before the IRS on any matter. And in 2026, the exam changed hands, so a lot of what you will read about it is already out of date. An enrolled agent is licensed directly by the federal government and is one of only 3 kinds of practitioner, alongside attorneys and CPAs, with unlimited rights to represent taxpayers before the IRS. There is no state license and no degree requirement. You earn it by passing the Special Enrollment Examination, which the IRS owns. Every question is multiple choice. The exam is 3 separate tests, and you may take them in any order. Part 1 is individuals. Part 2 is businesses. Part 3 is representation, practices and procedures, the rules of practice, the collection process, and Circular 230 ethics. Each part is its own 100-question exam with its own score. Each part is 100 questions in 3.5 hours, but only 85 of them are scored. The other 15 are experimental, they do not count, and they are not marked, so you cannot tell which is which. Plan on 4 hours in the seat because that includes a tutorial, a survey, and 2 10-minute breaks. Scoring is where candidates get confused. You are not graded on a percentage. Your answers are converted to a scaled score running from 200 to 800, and you need 500 to pass. Pass, and the report simply says pass with no number. Fail, and you get the score so you know how far off you were. If your study material quotes a different scale, it predates the current one. To sit it, you need a PTIN, a Preparer Tax Identification Number, and that is essentially the only prerequisite: no degree, no experience, no sponsoring firm. The testing window normally runs from May 1st through the end of February, with March and April dark while the exam is updated. You may take a single part up to 4 times in one window, and passing scores carry over for 3 years, so 3 years is your deadline to finish all 3. Now the rule that decides what you actually study. The exam is written against the Internal Revenue Code, forms and publications as amended through December 31st, and the questions refer to the prior calendar year. For the current window, that means 2025 law. So if you are studying in the middle of 2026, you are being tested on last year's rules, not this year's. Buying current year material is a common and expensive mistake. And here is the thing almost nothing online has caught up with. For years, this exam was developed and delivered by Prometric. Effective March 1st, 2026, it is not. The IRS moved it to PSI services, and testing availability began rolling out from July 1st. Every guide, forum post, and video telling you to schedule with Prometric is now wrong. Register through PSI and read their candidate bulletin for the current details rather than trusting a prep site. Passing is not the last step. You apply for enrollment on Form 23, and the IRS runs a suitability check, which includes your own tax compliance, so file and pay your own returns before you apply. Once enrolled, you owe 72 hours of continuing education every 3 years to keep the credential. 3 real questions from the bank, 1 per part. From individuals, a 35-year-old takes a distribution from his employer's 401k plan and uses it to buy a first home. Does the first-time homebuyer exception spare him the 10% penalty? No. That exception applies only to IRAs, not to employer plans. This exam loves rules that look symmetrical and are not. From businesses, when is an activity presumed to be run for profit rather than treated as a hobby? When it produces a profit in 3 of the last 5 consecutive tax years, including the current year. 3 of 5. That is a number fixed by statute, which is exactly the kind this exam tests, because it does not move with inflation. From representation, a taxpayer omits gross income exceeding 25% of the gross income reported on the return. How long does the IRS have to assess the tax? 6 years, not the usual 3. A substantial omission doubles the clock, and if the return is fraudulent or was never filed at all, there is no time limit. So how do you pass? 4 things. 1. drill practice questions relentlessly because this exam rewards instant recognition of statutory numbers: 60 days, 3 of 5, 6 years, 80%, and under time pressure you will not reason them out. 2. Master the vocabulary because tax is a language. Basis versus fair market value. Assessment versus collection. Deficiency versus underpayment. One word changes the answer. 3. Track your misses by part and study them separately. These are 3 independent exams with independent scores, so a weak business's score is not rescued by a strong individual score. 4. When a question hands you a figure, use the figure given. The exam supplies the inflation-adjusted numbers on purpose because it is testing whether you know the rule, not whether you memorized this year's tables. The short version: 3 separate exams, any order, 3 years to finish them all. 100 questions each, 85 of them scored, 3.5 hours. 500 on a 200 to 800 scale passes. You are tested on last year's tax law, and the exam moved from Prometric to PSI in 2026, so register in the right place. Practice this free at .com/en/enrolled-agent. Individuals, property and basis, businesses, representation and circular 230 ethics, over 100 questions in English, Chinese, and Spanish. Take a part, see where you land, and drill your misses.